opportunity for you to ask them. Let's go ahead and get this rolling. For those of you who don't know me, this is Dr. Ariel Policano. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I've been teaching the principles of the genius for going on 10 years. And it's my pleasure to be joining you today. All right, so we got that rolling there. Love it. Okay, our website here is geniusbiofeedback.com. Let's see if we have this up. Okay, perfect. Okay, at geniusbiofeedback.com, you can download the trial. You can see all about the basic principles of the genius. We have a really handy new piece here called Start Here. So this link here, let's go ahead and we're rolling in the chat. Thank you so much. You can participate in the chat, share hellos with people, help them to get different resources that we're going to be posting today. So the first one here is just something you can share with other people. Our Start Here, it tells all about the basics of the genius and what it is and how people can get involved. And we've needed that for a long time, just to tell them the basic rundown of what all of this is about. So we have that to share with you and to share with people. And we also have our 14-day download. So this is really the best thing. You know, when you're sharing the genius, one of the best things is to just make a personal introduction. We're still work one person at a time with people, love to get to know people, get to meet them. So if you have someone who would like to learn more about the genius, let's go ahead and get this recorded. Wonderful. If you have somebody who would like to learn more about the genius, make a personal introduction. Ariel at geniusbiofeedback.com, and just make that personal introduction. We actually have the time to meet with people, get to know them, and we love to get to know people in our community. If you've ever, talked together and so forth, we actually remember all the people we've worked with in our community, and it's a very unique community from that perspective. It's a very high touch community. So the best thing to do is a certain person is interested. Hey, I'd like to introduce you to Ariel. She's going to provide you with some materials and answer your questions. And then we record that person as your referral. And we say, hey, now we know who referred this person. So we do have an affiliate program, but we really encourage you to take a personal approach and introduce that person so that they feel welcomed and invited in a very personal way. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about the flower essences. Do you know the origin of the flower essences? Do you know the true pronunciation of the doctor that worked on the flower essences? Do you know where flower essences come from? How do they get created? We're going to talk all about that today. And then we'll work on someone. We're also going to be using our Success Desk reference cards. So these are on the website and they're in many of the packages that we offer. And they really help people to learn the flower essences very quickly and then understand the relationships, how they're connected to other things within the Genius program. We also have a new course, which is our energy medicine course. It's going to be 3 sessions really to help to demystify energy medicine. So we're really going to be discussing the core elements that help you to better understand what the genius is, why it exists, and why it works. So if you've ever wanted to know more about vibrational medicine, energy medicine, how it works, the science behind it, what we know about remote healing, what we know about the meridian systems, what we discover, the different scientific research that has been done, and also just the history of quantum biofeedback and all of these frequency devices, radionics, the VOL, all of those things, PEMF, we're going to be discussing those in this class. So we have an early bird sign up for the class. I think you're going to get a lot out of it and really enhance and help you to enjoy utilizing the genius so much more because you have this great context and great understanding to be able to explain to people how and why it works. So that link is you can just search energy medicine on the website, or you can just put in the link that I've just shared in the chat. So energy medicine, it begins in May. So you have some time to sign up for it, but we do have an early bird discount. It's 3 sessions. And we'll really be talking about all of the wonderful things that people ask of you and you ask about energy medicine. Let's break them down together into simple concepts that you can understand and also really explain to others. So that is the energy medicine course, and the description is on the webpage. and it's energy medicine, cutting edge technologies for powerful transformation. So I hope to see you, and we'll be talking more about that particular course. Okay, now we also have a few more things to share with you. Remember, we have our events page. So we have a wonderful events page now, and you can see all of the different training that we have throughout the week. I do think we're a very unique community in that we have ongoing training, and much of it is free, like this weekly training. Anybody can join us. And please join us on Thursday for our new Genius Miracle Hours, co-hosting with Mary Williams. And we'll take any volunteer, someone who needs to be worked on, and then we're all going to work on the person together. In last week's session, our very first session, we had Jackie, a new member of our Genius community, and she could really feel when the group of people was being worked on, when people were working on her, she could feel it, she could experience it, and she felt so different by the end of the session. So that's the Genius Miracles Hour. It happens on Thursdays at 9 o'clock Pacific. So please join us. Of course, that one is free. We're going to be having new trainings coming up, so stay tuned for those new trainings, and we'll be talking about those soon. We also have a guide for you, which is our flower essence guide. So a quick guide to the flower essences, and also getting the Success Desk reference cards can help a lot as well. We have the slides from today. I may be able to get them together if my computer would cooperate a little bit. Keeps listing things as icons instead of names. So let's see if I can just get this. I may not be able to get it for you. We will try. It's actually a very short slideshow, and we're just going to talk all about the flower essences. So we're streaming live to YouTube right now. If you need to jump off the call, please know that you can find it there. Let's see if one more time if we can do this. It's just my computer is being very finicky. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So here are the slides for today. Very, very brief slides. We're going to talk about the flower essences, and then we want to get into testing. And the reason I really want to talk about flower essences because sometimes I forget how basic they are to our sessions. And if we go back to the trainings that I've done over time, I've always encouraged all of our practitioners to do the flower essences with every single session that you do. And 3 is a magical number. And finding the 3 top flower essences and then sort of interpreting that for the person is incredibly powerful. So let's look at it together. I actually want to go here and see if we can get some. This is a new layout. So we're going to do this, and I think we need to adjust this. So let's just go through this, and then we're going to please volunteer. Hang on, I know I need to adjust this. Please volunteer by putting your date of birth down into the chat area. Now, if you have other questions about the Genius, we can also look at that. Oh, let me know if you can see the slideshow. So just give me a quick shout out in the chat that you can actually see that slideshow. Let's see if we can get that. Let me know if you can see the slideshow up there. Okay, thank you, Lynn. Hey, Lynn, welcome back. So volunteer your date of birth, and we're going to work with you, bring you on, picture your voice and everything, work with you on the Genius. And you'd be amazed. One of the most amazing things for people, you probably already know this, is how much the flower essences really match what that person is experiencing. Okay, so let's just talk about the Genius for anybody who's new, who's watching this on YouTube, who just might be meandering along. The Genius system is a quantum biofeedback tool. You may have heard things like the Quest, the Skio, the Life System, the Asira, the Zyto. This is similar, but it's in a mobile application. It's much easier to use and actually is much more dynamic than those other things because of the libraries, the ability to work on food, the ability to work on Mother Earth, so many, clear your home, so many things that you can do. So it's a tool that helps you learn more about yourself and the world around you. And it uses the voice as the main tool of evaluation when you're working on people. Okay, so your voice carries an incredible amount of energetic information, and the proprietary voice engine is able to interpret that voice as a frequency and then compare it to other frequencies in the program through an algorithm and say, hey, where do those frequencies have a stickiness? or an energy, a connection. And then it interprets those as red and blue items. And these red and blue items, the pure meaning is that the reds and the blues are the very best frequencies for you to run for yourself today in order to attain more peace, more vitality, more harmony, to reduce stress in your life. That is really the pure interpretation. Any other interpretations that are made on the meaning of the frequencies, whether they be red and blue, is really an interpretation of that particular practitioner based on their knowledge. So anytime you have a red or a blue, whether it seems liver frequency or lavender or sacred frankincense, whatever it is, means you would benefit in some way from playing that particular frequency today. That's the pure meaning of what the frequencies in reds and blues mean. Now, on the Genius, you can utilize a panel called the Flower Essences. And the correct way to say this man's name is actually Bach. So if you're in England, right, in the United Kingdom, then you're probably saying Bach. But no one here knows what we're talking about if we don't say Bach. So I'm going to say Bach today, and this we have a frequency panel that takes these energies and interprets them as frequencies for the purpose of using them in the Genius. So really, the essences of flowers are pure vibrational energy, and then they've been able to be interpreted as frequency. And you can see other resources on the flower essences interpreted as frequencies, like in the Rife manuals. And so those have been input into the Genius, and then we test to see which flower essence is resonating with that person for today. Now, there are actual physical flower essences, and the whole birth, we know there's many different lines now, but the birth of the whole experience came out of Dr. Edward Bach. So he was a medical practitioner. He was actually a homeopath and what they call bacteriologist. So he had a medical background. He practiced in the 1930s, but he also was incredibly intuitive. He had a really wonderful understanding of the healing power of nature. So he particularly thought that it really wasn't about the disease itself. There was something else going on, and he interpreted that as an emotional reason, that people were in disharmony in some way in their life. They didn't have peace or harmony. There was an emotional block or wound, and that this was the main cause of their particular illness that they had. So he didn't want to palliate. He wanted to actually create a frequency shift within them that would permanently cure them or transform them in some way. So it says that Dr. Edward Bach sought a natural, non-toxic method of addressing inner levels of human experience. Isn't that interesting? So he saw dis-ease as being some part of the human experience that the person was trying to work through. And we've talked about that a lot, that we're on this earth as sort of an educational experience. This is our school. And that often when the body is not in perfect balance, we have some type of illness, that it's a signal to the body. There's some lesson that we're trying to learn. And Dr. Edward Bach was very much aligned with this concept. So he also understood that humans have very common experiences. We know Enneagrams, astrology, all of these things sort of teach us that human beings are very similar in certain ways. And he found that there were similar emotional blocks or ways that people were responding in the world that were similar. So he ultimately came up with these 38 different gradations or energetics of humans that they really have in common. So you can find anyone that probably resonates with one of the flower essences that almost defines sort of the nature of their personality or the energetic block that they're experiencing at this time. And we'll see that in some of the flower essences as we go through some cases. So he understood also that plants were innately healing, which is really interesting. So there's so many different types of plants, you know, there are roots, there are flowers, there are leaves, there are seeds, and there's so many all over the planet. That's why in the past, when we've had this sort of, you know, what shall we say, immune challenge globally, let's just put it that way. It's very, very silly and almost comical to say that there's only one solution, right? Earth has put forth so many different permutations of solutions for humanity to discover and really partake of, that it'd be silly to say that there's just one solution. So he found that flowers in particular have a very emotional impact for human beings. Now, if you just imagine yourself seeing flowers, and especially in the springtime, it's perfect. So just in your mind's eye, you see some flowers, you immediately feel an emotional shift. You feel happy, something just changes within you. And so he particularly observed that connection for human beings to flowers. So then he really opened his intuition and allowed his intuition to inform the 38 essences that we know as flower essences. But then he tested them in different ways. He knew they were non-toxic. They wouldn't have a negative effect. But then he sort of tested out his intuitive channelings on the different patients he was working with to see if they would pan out. So he really was able to cure people of different physical ailments by using the flower essences, which work on the emotional body. So it really is fantastic. They are basically, he also discovered that the energies could be really gleaned from the flowers being wet by the morning dew, that was some of the most powerful energetics. And he's actually just taking a vibrational energetic from the flower, whatever the flower frequency it's resonating at is then imbued into the water. And then it's preserved with brandy or something that keeps it from, growing any microbes. And it's amazing. It's so powerful. Anyone who's ever taken a flower essence during an emotional crisis, something they were going through, it was recommended, knows that it can be profoundly life-changing in a number of ways. And even the combination remedy, which was not originally Bach's, but the combination of several different flower essences in rescue remedy. We used to take rescue remedy all the time in naturopathic medical college before exams. I've given rescue remedy to my dogs and cats before they go in for dental cleaning or procedure and so forth. It has a profound impact on people. I'm sure many of you have many stories, but he came up with these 38 original flower essences. And he said it was to treat the patient's temperament, not the disease itself. Okay, so immediately when he was able to unwind the emotional wound, people got better. And that the flower essence, something within the flower, vibrationally allowed that opening to happen. Now, this is a wonderful thing because people come in with all types of emotional blocks, emotional wounds, and we don't have to say to them, let's talk about it. Let's have, 45 sessions of emotional talk therapy. Not that that is bad, but we can just say, hey, we recognize this is the frequency today. And then we can give the frequency in the essence, the vibrational frequency of the essence or the essence itself. And it is the vibrational frequency that creates the change. And then the person shifts and changes because they allowed it, their own free will, and they're changed forever. They're changed in a profound way. So this is a wonderful way of recognizing that emotions are significant. We don't have to struggle with them. We don't have to see that they're permanent. We're not going to permanently have this emotional block or wound. It could just shift like that. We could acknowledge it, apply the essence, and then it could be transformed in some really profound way. Maybe it's a way that's preventing us from, sleeping properly, or we have pain in our body, or we have some chronic illness. And then that right frequency can shift and change this. And this is what happens in homeopathy as well. When you get that right vibrational match, it can be amazing. And disease states can literally disappear overnight. So these flower essences were released by the morning dew. The vibrational information goes into the water from the flower, and then the person takes that or entrains that frequency into their own field, right? By drinking or by playing the frequency. So there are 38 energies or expressions of the human condition. And what he said was that the individuals in each of the 38 energies would not suffer the same kinds of diseases. That's not how they were connected. But the common thread was that they reacted to the same to any circumstance or condition. So these 38 energies had a commonalities in the way that they were responding to stressors. And that's what put them into, elm or oak or vervain or vine. They responded the same way to the circumstance or condition. It was helping to find that particular energy, have more harmony and balance, that all of a sudden the disease state went away. Bach was very connected to nature. He found that plants with all the properties to heal instead of the medicines that were being recommended in allopathic medicine could be found in the simple wildflowers of the countryside. He understood that the right frequency could completely shift that person, and was seeking real cure and resolution and not the palliation of allopathic medicine. We all know today, right? When you take a blood pressure medication, a heart medication, a pain medication, these things do not resolve the issue. They simply resolve it for a day. And then you have to take the medication the next day. And then you have to take the medication the next day. It resolves the symptoms, lowers the blood pressure, but not the root cause that caused the high blood pressure in the first place. Okay, this is not our lecture for today. So that's the introduction. That's the basic concept that we're working with. And now we're going to continue on to ask who would like to be worked on so that we can talk more about the particular flower essences and discuss those. So if you'd like to volunteer, go ahead and put your date of birth and we can answer some questions. But this will be fun because we can talk about the particular flower essences in a more pragmatic way by actually working with people. And, you know, my initial experience of doing many demonstrations for people and doing many scans over the years is that the place that we connected the strongest was through the flower essences. And it really helped people to feel understood, to feel recognized, to feel acknowledged. And so you can do this in your practice in such a wonderful way that doesn't touch on that you're practicing medicine without a license. You can always talk about emotions very freely and say, hey, this is what this flower essence, you know, means. Does this resonate with you at all? And they often say, yes, that's exactly what I'm going through. It's similar to what I'm going through. And then we can play that essence for them or send it to them in their capsule. Okay, so let's see if somebody has volunteered here and would like to be worked on. So wonderful. So Fran, why don't we work with you? We really appreciate you. And I'm glad you're able to join us from South Africa today. Fran, why don't you do you think you have your microphone and camera, and could you join us in just a moment? And then we're going to bring the genius up. I'm going to be using the genius from the reflector. So we're going to be doing that. So Fran, see if you can get your arrangement there with your camera and microphone. We'll work with her. So longtime genius user from South Africa, and we welcome all of our South African practitioners and appreciate them very much. And we're glad that to some degree, this time at 9 o'clock Pacific kind of works for a lot of our folks that are joining us. So any questions that you have that you'd like to ask about the genius, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'd love to see if we can answer some of your general questions. And we're going to be having more basics, training about the basics coming up. So you'll be able to participate those during the week at other times as well. I want to cover as many bases for you. You know, our goal here is for you to utilize the genius each and every day with confidence, that you enjoy it, that you love it, that you understand how to use it. So we're going to talk with Fran, hopefully in just a moment here. And let's just go ahead and we can see the inputting. So I'm just going to use the initial here. All right, perfect. And we use something called a reflector in order to project the genius onto the screen so that we can also use the rest of the desktop. You can look for the reflector number 4 at a really funnily named website, which is airsquirrels.com. So if you want to utilize this type of setup in your practice, just go ahead. It's about $19 or maybe $20 for a reflector. It's really worth it because you can do really professional meetings with people and have the genius on the screen. So I found that the reflector really does work very, very well. And I've relied on it for years and it's really, really worked very, very well. Okay, so let's see if we can make this happen here. And just a few more tricks up my sleeve here to make this work. So warm welcome to everyone. And hopefully you got the handouts about the flower essences. And thank you so much for joining us and being with us today. We love having our community join us for the Monday class. So Fran, let's see if we can talk with you. You're going to see you're sort of promoted up there and you're able to show your camera and so forth. We'd love to have you join us there. See if we're able to make that connection. I know the connection in South Africa is not always very reliable, and sometimes it can go on and off. So let's see if we've gotten her there. Fran, are you there? Are you joining us? What happened there? Let's see if she was able to join in. Always fun to try to figure this out. Okay. Fran, are you there? There she is. Okay. Hi, Fran. How are you today? Hopefully we can get her on. We can answer any of your other questions as well. Hi, Fran.
Ariel.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Thank you so much for being part of our Genius community. It's so lovely to have you join us live.
Yes. Finally, after a year. I think it's been a year.
Yes, yes. Well, and also in South Africa, the power is sometimes it's down and so forth, and we'll think good thoughts that it stays up, but it's so wonderful. So it looks like it's a good day there. What time is it?
It's now 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. So good. So that's a time that can actually work. I'm so grateful. So what we're going to do is we've gotten you up here. We put the information in on the Genius, and we're going to go right to your voice. And actually, we'll chat with you a little bit more, but let's record your voice. You know how this is done. I'll count you down here, and okay. I'll start recording your voice so that we can work with this in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. My name is Fran, and I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, yay. That's very wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your practice. What's going on with your general practice, and how are you incorporating the Genius?
Well, I don't have a practice per se, but I am practicing on friends, on family, and getting wonderful results. I use the Genius every day, and I love it.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there and have you get a quick smile there. Okay, perfect. We utilize that. Now, what has been your personal experience with the Genius?
Sure. Okay, let me think of a case of a friend she was pregnant, went into hospital, had her baby. She had been jabbed, and the baby was really ill when the baby was born. The baby was in ICU for 9 days, and she just wasn't getting better. And I kept doing frequencies, but actually the thing that shifted her was working on the space in the hospital. So clearing the energetic of the room that the baby was in is what made all the difference.
What drew you to try that?
I just know the energies in the hospitals are not really conducive to healing.
I like your thinking. Like, that actually took some critical analysis. It makes total sense. When I walk into any type of a hospital environment, it feels very ungrounding. There's a certain, unfortunately, like almost like a negativity that I experience. I think that was really brilliant of you to interpret that the environment that they were in could be affecting them more than anything else.
Absolutely. And that was 6 months ago, at the peak of all the craziness going on.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And somebody's saying, EMFs within the hospital space as well, and all the stress, all of the fear. So what happened after you cleared the space?
Well, she went home. The baby went home.
And then how were things after that?
She has been doing well. I do, from time to time, I do sessions on her. But I was concerned about her. I didn't know, it doesn't sound very good when she was born. she wasn't really doing very well, but something shifted. So I'm not going to take all the credit, but something definitely did shift in her. I was doing the blood clots. I was doing all kinds of panels just to keep her well.
Wonderful.
And also on the mom, because the mom was breastfeeding.
Yes, that's brilliant. Well, I think, you when you get ready to really expand out and do more, you're wonderful at this. I mean, you have a great sort of comprehensive understanding of what to do. So I'm really glad you're working with the Genius to help others.
Thank you.
All right. Now it's a very interesting, beautiful aura, just such a beautiful purple and the opening of the upper chakras, and really interesting, this sort of red piece around here. So when you do see something that's sort of hanging out there on the outside of the body that you see there, this is something they're working on, trying to bring to resolution. So with that said, is there anything in particular going on, something you're trying to transform, any issue that you're working with or want to see change in some way?
Yes. My hair.
Okay.
My hair's been thinning. So it's been something that's been bothering me because I've always had this thick head of hair, and there's definitely a shift. And I think it's postmenopausal. Could be to do with my thyroid, could be pituitary. So I'm working on that.
Okay, well, let's go through some basics for you and anything else that you want to add, and then we'll have you come back on in just a little bit.
Okay, so this is, I don't know if this isn't really related, but I am traveling, and there is a little bit of concern around the testing that I would have to do. So there's a bit of that.
Oh, so a little bit of worry or anxiety.
A little bit of worry, yeah.
Okay, Fran. Okay, we're going to work on that
Ariel.
for you. All right, thank you. We'll bring you back.
Thank you so much. Okay.
There's just a little bit of a delay going on there. I know that's what's happening. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to look at some basic things. And of course, we're going to look at the flower essences. And I want to show you how to work with the flower essences, because there's a number of different ways that you can work with the flower essences in any particular session. So let's go back here. And we just want to look at some basics. Let's look at today's stress, heavy metal toxicity. Maybe that's the cause of the hair. Certainly your hair is going to definitely be related to your particular health at that time. Stress levels, vitamin D can make a big difference. And of course, changing hormones. We've got kidneys, virus, fungus. Remember, you don't have to know the interpretation of everything, but there are quick interpretations right on the desk reference success cards and in the mastery guide, so that you can get the gist of what is coming up. And then we go to body systems again, sort of rapid lymphatic. Let's look at that. This is from basic process number 1. And if you just go to the start here menu at geniusbiofeedback.com, there's a whole collection. It says get all the guides here, and you'll be able to download that basic process within those guides. Now, it's interesting that minerals are coming up, right? Because minerals are very connected to the health of the hair. We've got sulfate. Sulfur is really connected to the health of the hair. So that might be a great frequency to run. We've got iodine that's connected to the health of the thyroid. Silica, all of these are hair minerals, which is very interesting. Silica, hair, skin, and nails. Sulfur going to be related also hair, skin, and nails. We've almost got a formula for hair, skin, and nails just in the minerals. And then iodine. So many people are deeply deficient in iodine. So run that frequency. Let's quickly look at a couple of other things. Like we could look at thyroid just really quickly. And we could just go to thyroid assessment. And so it does it's interesting. Now, nothing here is a diagnosis. It's just an energetic resonance, but it is saying autoimmune. That would definitely lead to thyroid issues, but it may not be. We can't take it as an absolute diagnosis. We'd have to do more actual lab testing. But a couple of interesting things. We see the heavy metals come up again, which is fascinating. Adrenal imbalance. When your adrenals are burnt out, for whatever reason, it actually affects your thyroid comes in to compensate. So you could have changes within the thyroid. We do have one for hair, and let's see if it reveals anything. It's really about hair regrowth, but it could tell us more about what is needed. So silica, again, biotin, saw palmetto, which helps to balance androgens, which can be shifted and changed during the menopause, postmenopause. Hair easily grows back now. B complex vitamins, Romania, a wonderful Chinese tonic herb, liver detoxification, low thyroid, and balance the androgens, which is what I said about the saw palmetto. So that, that's the one thing about the genius is we just got so much information about her hair thinning in a really short amount of time. That's absolutely amazing. Now, let's go to the reason that we're talking about all this today, which is the flower essences. So flower essences, you can take this full frequency here, you can include it, right? And then you can also go here, and we've got century, rock, rose, pine, and willow. And at the bottom, we've got rock, water, vine, impatiens, and star of Bethlehem. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Let's do it the first way, which is you can take all of these and then put them into the main hold tray and process them in progressive insight. So let's do that first. We can also include some of the flower essences that are under 200 and also some that are just under the 689, right? But are above 600. So they might not be red or blue, but they're still significant. We're going to go right to, before we even look them up, we're going to go right to Progressive Insights by clicking down at the bottom and pressing the play button right there. It's going to take us to Progressive Insights. We're going to go ahead and click Begin Analysis. In this way of working, we want to find out of everything that we're working with, all of the items that we just tested, which are the top items. And so we had many flower essences come up, but which is the top essence that will help her in this moment that is relevant to what she wanted to work on. That's what Progressive Insights helps us with. So we can play these for her while we're sort of looking this up. And I think walnut is about transitions in our life. Let's go ahead. And again, we can go right to the desk reference success cards. And it really helps because it helps us to look at other parts of the genius as well. Let's go ahead and take a look. So walnut is about transition. So something, imagine that, things in our lives are changing. So something in Fran's life may be changing. She's going through some type of an emotional, physical, moving, some type of a transition. It also tells us that the walnut flower essence may be connected to small intestine. Also a great flower, a great solfeggio, I'm just going to turn that down. A great solfeggio to work with that is 528, of course, because transformation and miracles, something you would want as you're going through transformation. And then it tells us also 174 hertz, which is about being able to move through things with grace. 639 hertz for transformation, for communication. Tells us to also work with the flower of life and the Fibonacci sequence. So all of those things you could add in or you could test. So we probably want to make a note somewhere in our notes about our client that walnut was that number one flower essence that came up first. And this is for a number of different reasons I'm going to talk about. So we're going to make that note about walnut. So let's go ahead and talk with Fran. And so Fran, we're going to bring you up here now and talk with you for a moment, if you can join us again. There you go. Okay. So is there anything about the energy of walnut that resonates with you?
Completely.
Okay.
I am wanting to move, change, move, and actually been decluttering and getting things into a space where that can happen with ease and grace.
Okay, fantastic. And I love it. I love your approach to it. So then you also saw the other energies that were coming up around silica and sulfur. So hopefully those would be helpful for you as well.
Very, very. Thank you. Spot on. Spot on. And then I need to do a gallbladder detox. So that's on my list.
Yeah,
when
the
I get
liver
back from my
detoxification
travels.
came up. You
Yes.
can better process any of the hormones better through better liver detoxification. So I think
Yes.
that's why that came up, and makes a lot of sense for sure. Somebody wanted to know, what frequencies were you utilizing to clear the space in the hospital?
It was the home clearing.
Sure.
From the home
That's
clearing.
perfectly fine. Yeah. It's
Yes.
like feng shui and order, and so
Yes.
just clearing negative entities and energies out. So that's absolutely fine. No, that's a
Yes.
great choice. So now, Fran, you can tell me if you do this in your sessions or if you've ever done it. What we're going to do here is we're going to hit the rescan. And now, after running the energies with walnut being the top priority, we're now going to come up with the second flower essence that's the closest to the top when we do a rescan. So a rescan takes into effect all the things that we've run so far. So let's go ahead and tap that rescan button. And is that something that you've ever worked with, the rescan, Fran?
Yes. Yes.
So
I do that.
Tell us a little bit about it. Go ahead.
I actually did. There was a process that I saw a couple of, I don't know if it was a month or so. I can't remember when you did it, but it was with the spine. It was working with the spinal energy and the flower essences. And I actually tracked it for a week, and it was phenomenal to see the changes. And I found that when sticking to a protocol and doing it literally for 1 week instead of chopping and changing, that's when you see shifts.
Nice. Very good. I like that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, the next one that came up was impatience. So it really is, sometimes just literally impatience, like, and from impatience. And it is sort of feeling like, gosh, I wish this would move along a little bit faster. It can be associated with just feeling a little bit like irritated. And also it's connected to the gallbladder meridian, which is really interesting. And it's connected to the nervous system. And also for this particular flower essence, the D nogier is a very good nogier to utilize with impatience. So what are your thoughts about impatience?
Yes, I think that that resonates, because I want to move. I've been waiting for 25 years and I'm now ready.
You're ready. You're ready to, wow. All the things needed to come into place and everything needed to progress in exactly the way that it did for you to be ready to make this wonderful move. It's really exciting.
Absolutely.
So go right ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top items here and I'm seeing Hashimoto's and I'm thinking, that's overactive. Isn't that an overactive thyroid?
No, it's underactive.
Is it under?
Overactive. But remember that this is just a resonance, and it's a really important thing to touch on is you could be in the pattern of approaching Hashimoto's. The thyroid could be in a similar frequency as people with Hashimoto's. There could be a virus that maybe the resonance of that is present, that is tripping off that Hashimoto's. Remember that it's just a state. To really find out that we have that thing, we would have to do a lab test and find those antibodies, which it could be a hint for the person to go ahead and do it. Or it could just, you could also look at it, well, what's the difference if I knew it? What would I do differently? So maybe I would, that's really the best thing to come from is I would improve my diet. I would reduce my stress. I might take some foods in that have iodine because that can really help. All of these things. Okay.
Yeah.
So we went from 30% to 14%. So sometimes we go down in rectification. That's usually a sign you may need to drink some more water, get better hydrated. That could be one thing. But for whatever reason, we hit our max rectification at the 30%. And now it's saying go on to something else. So please don't live or die by our rectification percentage. It's not the ultimate goal to get to a threshold percentage, but more just be informed by what the rectification percentage is saying to us and how it's communicating that person's progress. So we're going to do another rescan. The magic number is 3. We want to find 3 flower essences, and then we can actually send those 3 flower essences on their own if we wanted to in the quanta capsule, or just play those 3. So let's look at some of the options. We're going to do a rescan one more time. So after we ran the energy of walnut and impatiens and some other frequencies, what now is the top one? Wow, it's really interesting. Walnut comes up again, really wanting to give you that support. Now, in this instance, let's take the second priority, which is olive, and let's look at olive, what the flower essence olive says to us. So it's a remedy for long-standing exhaustion. What do you think about that?
Yes, that I am.
Okay, so affirmative.
I need a very long holiday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it says it's so long-standing that a complete reset is sort of needed, which is some way of what you're sort of headed towards, or what you're actually doing is this sort of reset. It's connected to kidney energy, which is kidney is something that came up in today's stress for you. It's connected to adrenal regeneration, which is another thing that came up for you. It's connected to the sacral chakra, right, which is that 3rd chakra about power. And it's connected to 852 hertz, awakening intuition. So I'm going to write that one down, which is olive. And then we would run this for another minute. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Where did you find that information on that the olive's connected to the sacral, the 852? Is that in the...
Oh, that's in the success test reference cards. We analyzed all the different essences and made the connection to the other parts of the genius.
All right.
And Adina says, if I have the flower essences, can I add the frequency? Oh, yes. I think you're saying if you actually have the essences, you can actually put the frequency of any other essences that you need, or just that flower essence into the actual bottle. And it works either way. If you had other flower essences from Australia, New Zealand, you could imprint them into your system. It works both ways. All right. So let's see. I think there were some other questions, a whole bunch of questions. I don't know if we'll be able to answer all of these. From Shirley. Shirley, a warm welcome to you. I don't know if you have your system, but you might be a good candidate for getting with one of our experts and having a personal demonstration scan, Shirley. So feel free to get in touch with me after this session today, and we'll connect you with a personal demonstration scan and also our mini course. I may not be able to address these questions, but I'll do my best to answer some of them. So after running those frequencies, we actually got to a 55% rectification, which is fantastic. We're going to go back now. We're going to look at the aura, and then we're going to show how to work with this process. So let's go ahead and see what how the aura has changed, if any at all. And then we're going to take those 3 flower essences and put them into our quick zap. We could also put them down in our main hold tray for export. So let's go ahead and look at the different options. So very, very interesting. It's sort of the energy in the whole situation has changed here. So, you know, new awareness coming in, all the things that we've been talking about, you're seeing that up above, and also really great connection to the heart. I suspect there's some more work to be done here because we still have sort of a little bit of a muted sort of a color. We want it to end on really, really bright and vibrant colors when we can. So any thoughts about this aura, Fran?
It is very muted, but those colors are the colors green and purple. That's normally what I work towards.
On your own aura. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we go to our quick zap, and we have to find the flower essences first. And we're going to, now we know that really, even though this is 679 and it's not even red, that olive, because of it was related and tested within the frequencies that she was interested in, what she was working on, we found out that olive was the, really a top remedy. And we also found out that, look at walnut, it was 140. It wasn't even blue, but it was a top essence that was really wanted by her energy field. And then we see the impatiens here. And so that rescan function is really a different perspective, a different way of working. So now we could take these and we could just run them on their own up here in the quick zap. And you could also put them down in the main hold tray, empty out the main hold tray, put them in the main whole tray and export them to the Quanta capsule. So it's a interesting way of just working with those three essences, in much the same way that Edward Bach worked with the three essences. He worked with three different essences 3 times a day for flu, for viruses. Remember, he was a bacteriologist and was able to use the emotional clearing powers of the flowers in order to work on the physical. What do you think, Fran, about the emotional connection to different physical ailments?
Completely. It's that's how I start my sessions, with emotional and Bach.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Do you use any other types of flower essences in your practice?
I have got the Australian, but I stick with the Bach. I call it Bach.
Yeah, the Bach, as you're saying it, and in England they tend to say the batch, and but as long as we all know that we're talking about the same thing. So at a 16% rectification, we want to run it for another minute and see if we get a change. Let's see some of the questions. Why do you do the 3 top ones instead of the bottom 3? So Lori, that's actually not what we did. What we did is we looked in the progressive insights. In progressive insights, it's actually the high that you see there is a true high. It's not the same as the highs and the lows in the regular Genius. So when you go to progressive insights, that high is considered to be a really true high priority. And so we actually picked from the top ones that came up with each rescan. So these are not the top nor the bottom in red and blue, but it's just the top that we discovered in our rescan. Nothing is, the right way to do it. This is one way to do it, but we've been able to sift and sort through her biofield. Her innate intelligence told us what the top priority frequencies were for her today from that emotional perspective. And they all sort of lined up for her from her experience. But it's a very good question, Lori. I'm glad you asked it, because not everything that comes through in the webinar is really that people are understanding it. And so it's good to be able to talk about what the intention is here. Would it be good to add the frequencies within the essences listed? I'm not really sure what that question is about, but you could add any other frequencies like solfeggios to the quick zap. And somebody asked about the SPI, what kind of protein, and somebody's told her to run the V-Clear. That was a really good idea. And we also have one called immune resilience, which way back at the beginning of all of this, we had the immune resilience, which really addresses more of what would help to resolve the particular thing that they asked about. Remember, we're streaming live to YouTube, so we're going to be a little bit careful. Ones with each essence. So Vicki, do me a favor, email me, because I'm not quite understanding your question. I really do want to understand it. Okay, somebody has added what they perceive to be the frequencies. Remember of the SP protein, but remember, we don't support or verify. So you're doing that at your own, whether those are the frequencies, I don't know. I have no idea. So take that at your own ability to research it. So we got to 48% rectification. Let's go ahead and take one more look here at the aura scan. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Okay. Now, Fran, when you first started to use the Genius, was it, did you pick it up pretty easily? Did the training help? What was some tips that you have for people who maybe are trying to put their arms around the Genius and really understand it?
The training definitely helped. The training was, because I found it important to have a protocol to follow, just until I could become more comfortable with it and become more intuitive. What I do notice is that I tend to get carried away and add too many items to my main whole tray. So that's something I need to be aware of for myself, and actually just work on one item at a time instead of trying to solve everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And look at this actual, aura, how it's turned out. Isn't that amazing?
Beautiful. Lovely.
It's actually it's my pleasure. It's a great way of looking at this particular, at the flower essences in working with you. It's really interesting how it turned out. So we started with this. And then we moved into sort of this mid space, right? But then we got those top 3 flower essences right into the tray and only focused on those 3 frequencies. We got this. And is really, really wonderful. Fran, I'm so, so happy and glad that you joined us.
Thank you so much, Ariel. Thank you. It was very enlightening for me to experience this with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so, so much. And thanks for being part of our Genius community. And let's keep in touch and keep understanding how you're continuing to develop your practice, and many, many good wishes for your move.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Fran.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wonderful. Fabulous. That was the perfect case to work on today. So I'm so glad that you volunteered, Fran. That's really, really cool. Let's see if there's just a 1 or 2 minute questions here. Let's see. Quick. So let's just actually maybe just sum up by talking about a few things that we talked about at the beginning of the class for anybody who may have missed it. We have a new energy medicine course coming up, and you can read all about it on the website. Let's just go ahead and get that link for everyone. Again, it's all about understanding energy medicine and frequency, the different technologies, how the science of energy medicine, how we know that the meridians actually exist. You can go just right to the website and just type in the word energy, and you'll be able to find this particular course, Energy Medicine Technologies. There's an early bird discount when you sign up before the 20th of April. And there's a description right on the website of the 3 different sessions and what we'll cover. So I think if you like the Genius, you'll really enjoy it even more, understanding the science behind vibrational medicine, resonance, entrainment, how it all works, the meridians, the Ayurvedic, what are called the Marma energetics. There's just so much energy pulsating through a human being, and entrainment and frequency can help to shift it in a really positive way. We also had some handouts. Now, all handouts will be included in the YouTube description and also on our blog. If you go to geniusbiofeedback.com and you just find the education tab, you'll find a lot of resources. And the one that we're talking about is our blog. The blog actually contains all of our past videos so that you can easily watch it. And what we're trying to do is include all of the handouts in the description. So for example, the last weekly training that we did, this is the Miracle Hour, we did a chakra clearing exercise. So if you go to the blog, you can see the recording, and you can also download the clearing exercise. Please do share the YouTube video with others, and do subscribe to the channel so you can get updates about different videos. We're always doing things like tutorials and other things about the Genius. And we're going to be having our Genius Miracles Hour on Thursday at 9 o'clock Pacific. Remember to check our events page frequently so you can find out what new trainings are available. And that events page is just, for some reason at this moment, not appearing. Will we get it? Okay, we'll have to check what's going on with the events page. But we do have the Thursday Genius Miracles Hour, 9 o'clock, and the registration link will be up on the events page as soon as I can look at it just momentarily. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week. If you have any other questions that weren't answered, send me a message, Ariel at geniusbiofeedback.com. Have a great rest of your day and a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye for now.